ladies and gentlemen, let's give a very heavy hand of applause for the Cabinet Secretary, Tafadhali, Mr. Aidan Mohammed, ladies and gentlemen. Let's give him a hand as he comes on stage.
Wonderful.
Fabulous stuff.
I'm really delighted to be here, ladies and gentlemen. I have been in this, wonderful similar tent many years back, and then the last one was when Safaricom was doing some function. But today is really to celebrate what, in my view, is probably one of the highlights of what the private sector is doing and what the government is doing as well. And really my being here is just to demonstrate our desire to work together, to celebrate the wonderful work that many of you have done, achieved over a number of years to get to where you are today. And so what I really want to say is recognizing this function, this event, the Top 100 event, which is now in its 7th year, that has managed to grow a number of companies from really what they have been, small, medium-sized, to become regional or indeed continental businesses that we have seen in our country and in the region. I do understand that some of the stories of these businesses were shared at the conference yesterday, which I unfortunately could not attend due to other commitments, but I was told about some wonderful, really success stories that many of us are very proud of for the achievements that these organizations have made. And really, I'm not here to make a very long speech because this is a time to celebrate successful businesses and really to make sure that for us to develop entrepreneurs, others who are following the footsteps of those that have made it to where they are today, we must make sure that as government and as private sector, we embrace in dealing with the issues that have to some extent stopped many others from succeeding, but also to recognize some of the challenges that people have come through. And one of the things in Vision 2030, which many of the business leaders, including the two gentlemen who walked here earlier on, have taken a very big part in developing, is to recognize the role that the medium-sized businesses do play in driving our goal of becoming an industrialized middle-income country by the year 2030. And so to that extent, a number of initiatives have been put underway and are going on at the moment from the government side to make sure that we try and, in our way, support the initiatives that the private sector are themselves doing in making sure that we achieve our objective of driving our economic growth through the businesses that are represented here tonight. The first initiative that many of you would be aware of is the fact that the government has committed to allocate 30% of its procurement activities to this sector, something that I do know we haven't quite gone as far, broadly speaking, similar programs, but we need now to bring them under one umbrella, and the concept of Biashara enterprise is one that has been earmarked, and work is ongoing to bring all this together. And finally, it's something that I am really dedicated and committed to personally, and with support of my colleagues in government, we are really delighted to push the Buy Kenya philosophy as a way of making sure that people who produce manufactured goods in Kenya, or indeed provide services, we give them the first priority as a way of driving the growth of these sectors. It is something that to some extent is happening, but not to the extent that we like to see going on. And I want to assure everybody that the government is fully committed and embracing of this idea, and very soon, together with the Kenya Private Sector Alliance and other bodies like Kenya Association of Manufacturers, we want to showcase what Kenyan businesses can produce and how we can drive that Buy Kenya program. These are some of the things that we really have embarked on to make sure that we drive some of the work that you are in your own way doing. And why is this important to government, and why is this important to this economy? The sector that this group are part of really contributes a significant amount to our GDP, and it's not something that is unique to Kenya, but many other countries. The business segment that this team and this group has supported for the last 7 years is actually one that drives many economies, and we are not an exception. And just as an example, for every 10 jobs that are created in Kenya today, somewhere between 8 and 9 of those jobs are created by people in this business sector. And so it is not a favor, it's not something that is being done just as a way of providing lip service. It is the sector that will make a difference in the long term to our strategic direction as a country. That notwithstanding, I'm aware that there are many challenges that continue to exist that in some way or form or shape does not support the growth of this sector much more speedier than they have been able to grow. And the first one, I think, as part of the survey of about 280 businesses that was undertaken, was really the issue of about competition. Whether it is unfair competition, goods coming into this country through pioneer routes, not paying the necessary duties, or indeed where the market opportunities are denied to people in this segment. It is something that we need to think about. And the 30% procurement program, the Buy Kenya program, is hopefully going to address this through providing some dedicated channels through some form of, I would say, quasi-affirmative action target to support this sector in dealing with competitive pressures from businesses that have been long established in this country. One of the second major challenge that has been highlighted by this survey is the issue of access to finance. And maybe I should just stop there and not say anything more about that. I think the issue of access to finance is one that I do appreciate is a critical one, but one that through some of the things that are being done, especially the creation of a biashara bank that the government is trying to put in place, to see how we can capitalize it much more stronger than we have done before. We've had a number of government-related agencies that were thinly capitalized. Issues of governance were not paid a lot of attention to. But once we consolidate these programs, we should be able to see how we can create some targeted funding for specific sectors which have some critical strategic importance to the country. And that is really to complement what the private sector financial services is going to do. And of course, other issues like insecurity, poor payment terms for people who actually procure goods and services and not getting paid on time are also things that have been highlighted. And what this really tells me is that you have built what, despite all these problems, has been a very resilient business to make sure that you can overcome this. And so if some of the support that I mentioned comes to fruition as quickly as possible, the future, I think, is going to be very, very, very bright. On the issues of payments, I think we are aware that especially, government being one of the biggest procurement entities in the country, we do take note that we have some challenges around payments for services and goods that are procured. And together with the county government, which I think provides more opportunities for this business segment, we should find ways of trying to be a bit more proactive in not squeezing the cash flow requirements of this business segments. So I would like to say that you can count on my support as a ministry, as an individual, as somebody who has some reasonably good understanding of some of the challenges that we are going through to make sure that we can build some support mechanism and structure to drive some of the things that you're doing. And towards fulfilling that end, we have in my ministry set up a 200 million Kenya shilling seed capital as a way of driving entrepreneurship. And so very soon you will hear more about creating some competition in driving entrepreneurial ideas. This we want to make sure is not a loan. It would be a grant to people who have business ideas that are today not being supported by commercial banks, conventional commercial banks. And once this initial seed capital becomes successful and we see the objectives have been met, undoubtedly we should be able to drive this much further as we go forward. And in conclusion, I would like to commend all of you for the contribution that you are making to this economy. The role that you play is one that I think is quite important. I'm also very pleased to see that the benchmarking process, the graduation process of where you are to where you are going to is one that is being recognized, and a lot of learning can happen from peers within the same business sector. I would like to thank finally KPMG and the Nation Media Group for continuing to run this initiative. It's something that we are very proud of and very pleased to see as government that business leaders like yourselves are supporting this, and we can only join hands with yourselves in the future to make sure that what you have started, using your own capital, using the support of other sponsors who have been supporting these initiatives, would become even much bigger and hopefully be able to register much more success than what you have been able to do in the last 7 years. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much and enjoy a wonderful evening.